filmmaking, we're going to deal with some acting, but I'm going to deal with finding money to get your films made, the pre-production part of filmmaking, the principal photography side of filmmaking, that's when you actually go into production, and the post-production, distribution, and marketing. I'm going to bring Simeon Henderson, who's going to do 30 minutes on. How many of you all want to get into acting? Raise your hand. Yay, that's good. So we're going to have Simeon who's going to come up. You all familiar with Simeon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Simeon is not only an actor, he's also a producer and he's also a filmmaker. So we're going to bring Simeon up who's going to take us who's going to do 30 minutes on the process of acting. And then I'm going to come back up and deal with the production part of filmmaking. Let's give Simeon a hand.
Good, I almost said good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. I am rocking my Cubs hat. Why? Because the Cubs won the World Series, right? So now, two parts. If you want to be an actor, this is going to be very informative. And if you're a filmmaker, what I have to say is very informative for you too. Why? Because as a filmmaker and a producer or a director, you have to deal with who? Say it again. People, which will be your actors, right? Okay, so you have to know how to deal with actors and how to work with actors. But first, you have to know what acting is. Who can tell me what is acting? Can anybody tell me what is acting? Yes.
Putting life to the words in a script.
That's one thing. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, doing the show, performing. Yes.
Pretending to be somebody in some film.
Yes, all of that is good. But there's one particular thing about acting that you have to know. And that is acting is telling the truth. You got that? Acting is telling the truth. Let me pull this up right here because I have some information that I want to make sure that you get. It's right here. So, when you talk about acting, acting is telling the truth. I always say that they're keys. They're keys to life, right? Keys to building momentum for success. Success as an actor, success as a producer, success as a filmmaker, success as a writer. What do keys do? Keys unlock the important things that we need. You need a key to get in your house. You need a key to start that car up and go from point A to point B. Keys are used to lock your safe, to lock away your goods. So keys are very, very important, right? So we have to understand that. So now, the thing about acting, you have to remember as an actor, you have the ability to touch people. You have the ability to affect people's lives. I always say as an actor, we do things that people get counseling for. And in essence, we are also counseling ourselves. I can't tell you how many times I played a role that I was actually living that. You know what I'm saying? So I can remember times vividly where I was playing a role that I was going through the same thing in my life. And as I'm helping people, I'm helping myself. Okay? So, and another thing about acting. With acting, you get back what you put out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you have a lot of energy, if you have a lot of passion, if you have a lot of drive, when you put that out, the people will receive it, right? Let's say you're doing a stage play. If you go on the stage and you're dull, you're dry, pretty much lifeless, the audience will respond to what you give them. But if you come with some energy, with some passion, with some vigor, and some fire, they'll feel it and they will respond, in essence, making your performance and the people you're performing with even better. Does everybody understand that?
Yeah.
Okay? So now, in acting, there's a saying that David Talbot said. He said, you have to learn and you have to unlearn. Right? So that means sometimes all of the things that you've learned, sometimes you have to be willing to open up, right? And be willing to take on more knowledge. Because if I'm working with Mark Harris, and I've never worked with him before, he's going to possibly be different, right, than Ebony, who directed me in my last film, right? So her style of directing is most likely going to be different than his style. Not saying either one of them are wrong. It's just that you have to be able to adapt. So you have to be able to come out of your box and not be stubborn and open up and always be willing to learn. Your body is your tool. It's your instrument. And how do instruments work best? When we clean them, right? When we polish them, when we play them, when we practice, right? And we use them over and over and over again. I was just telling a good friend of mine, Malcolm Banks, yesterday. I study every day, guys. Every day I'm reading a script. And lately I'm finishing my book. And even finishing my book, my craft and my talents as an actor, it helps me. And listening to other people helps me to get further, right? So now, so when you're acting, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have a scene partner, right? You're gonna have a scene partner or partners, people that you're interacting with, people that you're acting with, okay? And the key thing is, the creative process is an exchange, right? It's give and take. So that means, have you ever seen anybody acting and they're in a scene with someone else, and when the other person is talking, it seems like they're totally disinterested? Have you ever seen that? We've seen it at the highest level and the lowest level, right? What happens is there has to be a creative exchange, meaning that when you're talking to me, my reactions to you without talking are just as important when I get the chance to speak. Okay? I remember when I was working on Chicago PD, and I was in a whole episode, but there were times when I wasn't talking, but my character was still relevant. And I was in the moment, and I'll never forget this. Mark Tinker, who was the director of the episode I was in, after one time he said, cut. He said, Simeon, do that again. Everything you just did. I didn't have not one. The focus was on 2 other people, but I was in the scene, and it calls for reactions. And I even remember working with Mark a few times where he was pleased with my reactions. So what I'm trying to tell you as an actor, young ladies and young men, there's a creative exchange, and you have to be willing to give it, okay? And the thing is, you can't combat each other. Who can tell me what I mean by that? Anybody? Think about it. Combat means fight.
Right.
So in a scene, what do I mean when I say you can't combat your counterpart?
You have to be cooperative so that both people get their time versus trying to steal that shine.
That's it. I see that and I cringe. I've heard it before, and I pull people to the side and say, hey, you can't think like that. Well, I don't care what nobody else do. I'm going to kill my scene. No, because that movie, when it comes out, no matter how good you are, if your counterparts aren't as good, it's going to show. So it behooves you, it's in your best interest to pick your scene partner up. Not I got mine. No, it's not I got mine. It's we get ours together. You understand what I'm saying? It's a cohesive unit coming together to bring forth a project that presents life, creativity, and entertainment.
Yeah.
I just came up with that. No, but what I'm saying is, this is what I do. When I speak, I'm a speaker. When I speak, I have a whole list of things I'm supposed to talk to, but I open myself up because of my passion. It's like I'll say, God, think through my mind and speak through my lips. That means whatever the people need, pull it out of me. You understand what I'm saying? And this is what you have to think about when you think about acting. Okay? So here we go. Now I told you that acting is doing what? Telling the what?
Story.
Telling the what?
Truth.
Come on, good class.
Telling
Telling the truth. Thank you. It's telling the truth, right? So, the truth is not subjective, right? And acting is not performing. You have to give pieces of yourself, right? So, you don't want to perform. Okay? You don't want to perform. You want to be where? In the what?
Moment.
In the moment. Okay? Hey, you want to be in the moment. Okay? You want to be in the moment, and you don't want to have these hang-ups. Right? You don't want to have these hang-ups. You want to be willing and ready to go wherever that character needs to go. So when you walk in and you want to tell the director, oh no, I'm not kissing anybody. Thank you. See you later. Hey Ebony, yeah, we got a role for you. No, I'm serious. You just canceled yourself out. Now, and now instead of you getting what could be the role of a lifetime or a breakout role, because you have hang-ups, how are you going to have a hang-up when you come into a profession that requires you to tell a story that someone has written that has to be portrayed on the screen? Right? You can't come into it saying, well, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, not going to do this, not going to do that, not going to do that. Okay, you stay right there, and we'll give you a free ticket when the movie come out. Okay? Because what happens is you can even, if you're open and you're ready, it can be changed right on the set. Right? It cannot even cause for what you were thinking in your mind. It could cause for a simple kiss on the cheek, or the forehead, or a simple peck. You know what I mean? But you have to be willing to tell the story. And you can't have hang-ups. Okay? Now, you can have standards, but you can't have hang-ups. You understand what I'm saying? You have to be open. You have to be willing to talk to the director or the screenwriter. Just, hey, can we do this way or whatever? You know, you have to be open. Okay? And another thing. So we know that acting is telling the truth. So there are ways to access this truth, right? Now, the first way to access this truth is you can't judge. Okay? So what it is when you come into it, right, you can't be judgmental. Okay? Meaning that you have to be willing to see the humanity in everything. You can think something is, I don't want to play a drug dealer, right? Or I don't want to play a rapist. Okay? Remember, it's a story.